Hello, welcome to Hollywood Crime Scene. This is Rachel Fisher.
Hi, this is Desi Jedeikin. We're back. Sorry for the delay. I had some foster kitten drama, but he's all good and better. We're back with our final part on Traci Lords. Once again, my sources are her memoir, Underneath It All. I also found several documentary clips from Traci Lords' X-Rated Ambition, the Traci Lords story, a few old LA Time articles on the case when it was dropping. And I also found a good article by Lily Analick for Town and Country where she discusses Traci's legacy in the world, basically, and in pop culture. So where we left off, Traci has been busted, and she kind of find out that the FBI had been onto the fact that she was performing while underage for pretty much her whole career in adult film. She realizes that once again, she is nothing but a piece of meat being used by the FBI this time instead of the porn industry and the men in her life. Despite the relief that she feels that it's kind of finally all over, the stress of it all is almost certainly not over. She has pretty much no money. The industry she made a ton of money for is now turning on her, and she still has that loser boyfriend, Scott. She really trusts no one and feels completely alone. She finally finds a protector when she hires a new attorney, Leslie Abramson.
Oh.
This is pre-Menendez brothers, obviously, and she comes on just in time because Traci is facing an onslaught of subpoenas from prosecutions around the country. Basically, the FBI is trying to prosecute every place that sold a video, every distributor. So this is like all over the country. Anyone who may have rented a movie, sold a movie, are now under investigation and possibly facing criminal charges. So she's basically, they want her to testify in all of these cases, which is hundreds and hundreds of cases. There's obviously not just those people who possibly unknowingly were selling these things, but there's new pigs on the block. They're selling her underage movies after it was announced that they were illegal, trying to make one final buck on these now kind of black market videos. On July 17th, 1986, all of these video rental shops and adult theaters in the U.S. were basically like scrambling to get all of this content out of their inventory, because now anything featuring her is basically distributing child pornography, as they called it back then. Sean Weston, who was attorney for the Adult Film Association of America, said distributors should withdraw any movie made before May of 1986 that were featuring her, no matter how briefly. And this withdrawal of all of her movies from the market cost the industry millions of dollars. Several of her movies were re-edited to remove her scenes. This happened with films Kinky Business, which I'm guessing is a risky business. New Wave Hookers. Or in some cases, they actually filmed new footage with a different actress and kind of inserted those scenes to replace her. This happened in Talk Dirty to Me Part 3. Don't know about 2 and 1. But and as I mentioned last ep, the only legal movie starring Traci left is the one that she herself produced, Traci, I Love You. And this is a huge sticking point for most of her detractors. So she felt like she was in a real bind at this point. She didn't really want to help the people she felt had exploited her all this time. And she also didn't want to help the politically motivated witch hunt either. Like that was the FBI and the Meese report, all those guys. When Leslie first meets her, Traci felt like she finally was being heard and that Leslie got her. She remembered her first meeting with Leslie, that Leslie said, "My God, what a beautiful young girl, those assholes." And she liked that. She immediately got on the phone, Leslie, telling prosecutors they could call in Traci's mother if they needed testimony regarding proof of age. They all demanded that Traci testify instead, and she told them to take a cold shower because she knew what Traci knew. They just wanted to see her in court.
Yeah.
They wanted her on the stand because they knew it would bring a shitload of media attention. And this is why they were pressing her to testify to something that was easily done by someone else or even someone who didn't know her. They just had the documents as evidence. So Traci enters therapy at this time, and she finally does reach out to her mom again. They had been estranged. And the mom actually does agree to testify in her place if she's required to. So after all the battles they fought against each other, they were finally on the same side. Now, the biggest issue facing prosecutors was the fake ID Traci used to get into the industry. They actually tracked down Christy Nussman, the owner of the birth certificate, and she claimed it had been lost or possibly stolen years ago. It was with this birth certificate that Traci or people who were helping her were able to obtain legal documents by forging Christy's name, including a driver's license and a U.S. passport. So they needed to prove that people in the industry still knew that Traci was underage, but chose to look the other way. Government prosecutors declared that Lords was a victim of a manipulative industry, maintaining that she was drugged and made to do non-consensual acts. And if you remember last episode, we talked about how this was a long time plan to take down the porn industry and that they just kind of lucked out, or according to some people, were in on this with Traci and got this sort of perfect victim to
Right.
kind of show what they wanted to show about the industry. And the industry is really shook by this news. An actor named Billy D, he stated that in the straight world, meaning non-porn, non-adult world, you have where were you when JFK was shot. In the adult world, it's where were you when you found out Traci Lords was underage. Like this was
It
that
was
moment. It
huge.
was huge. Now, everyone was shocked. Most people say they did not see it coming at all. They weren't even suspicious at all that she was underage. She was, they described her as being very confident and wanting to fuck everyone. Obviously, none of that is proof that she's overage.
Right.
Those with more power in the situation were also shocked. Many with the attitude that, like, why would I risk everything just to put an underage girl in porn when there's so many other people who are legal that I could do that with? Jim South, her first agent, was like, most of my agency fees, he was just the photography guy. He booked these girls for like nudie magazines and stuff like that. He wasn't really producing pornography movies. He's like, I got about $50 per shoot. Like, why would I risk felony charges for $50? A photographer that shot Traci, Susie Randall, she was a big name in the industry. She had similar reasoning. She's like, why would I endanger my children, everything I've worked with, just to shoot some chick with big boobs and a great face and a long tongue? I don't know why she added the
Why did she
tongue
have to
part.
add that?
Like, there's plenty of them going, okay, yeah, sure. Maybe the long tongue. But yeah, that was kind of their attitude. Like, this is not worth it to me. Like,
Yeah.
which is definitely believable. Like, yeah, of course. But people risk things all the time that are criminal. Like, so
Right.
there's that too. And I'm sorry. Obviously, this really devastated the industry financially. It's not only affecting distributors and the higher ups, though. It's also affecting the lower level people, the actors, the performers, the on-set people. Many people invested a lot of their time and energy into her career. And some people were very distraught by this news. One guy even having to be institutionalized. He was so scared of what might happen to him
Yeah.
because he unknowingly helped her. In fact, of everyone involved, even tangentially in this scandal, the only person who seemed like they weren't in any trouble was Traci herself. And this puts a lot of suspicion on her. The only thing that saves the industry, in fact, is the fact that Traci was able to obtain a U.S. passport with her forged and fake documents. And people, at some point, one of the state Supreme Courts ruled that they were allowed to use this as evidence that they're like, look, she had a fucking U.S. passport.
How are they supposed to know?
Like, what else could I have done? And it's true. Like, what else could they have done as far as checking her ID? Because that's as hard as it gets, to get a U.S. passport. it's like you got to go through some hoops to get that.
For sure. Now, I remember, I just can't remember exactly what, like when she first went to the porn studio, did she give a passport then to them, or was it just her fake ID?
I can't remember. I think it might have just been a driver's license, but even that was like legally issued. It was her picture. I think at some point she does get a passport as well, maybe when she moves into film. But yeah, she had, she took that birth certificate that was fake or not hers and got real ID with it, with her photo and stuff like that. So another big, So much like we've seen this a lot in other cases, because the FBI and the states were having trouble proving that these people actually did anything wrong, much like with Al Capone, when the government can't get them for crimes they wanted to get them for, they bring in the IRS.
Of course.
So now the industry is fucked because their IRS is auditing people like Ginger Lynn. Their biggest stars are now, even if they had done everything legally, when you get audited, it's like a hassle. It's a huge fucking hassle. It took some of them 3 years to go through this process of dealing with the IRS and just being tortured with audits and all that comes with that.
This is so annoying.
Yeah, because this is what we don't want the government to be doing, using their power to get us at all costs. And we're seeing this now with using the IRS, taking away people's nonprofit status as a retaliatory act. It's called fascism. Deal with it. So now another big mystery in all of this is who blew the whistle. This is a constant topic of conversation when it comes to the Traci Lords case. Was it a bitter ex? Was it Traci's mom? Was it the stepfather, in quotes, Roger, that Traci kind of believes is the one who did it? Some people are like, maybe she was paying her dad off, her real dad, and that because he knew her real age, obviously, and maybe she was paying off him to keep quiet and she stopped and then he turned her in out of spite. But the prevailing theory amongst the industry is that Traci did it herself.
They think she ratted.
They think she's the one who, ratted and undid the whole thing. So Tom Byron, who I do mention in the previous episodes, he was an actor who worked with Traci. He was the one where they had that sex scene that was being filmed, but they were actually just having sex, which was her first sex scene. He thinks that she had it in her mind from the get-go that she was going to use this porn career as a stepping stone to get into Hollywood, and that she always planned on getting out in a dramatic fashion. Ginger Lynn, she said that Traci's just a cunt. Oh, that's her words. She's a two-faced, backstabbing, dead-eyed bitch. I hope her tits rot and fall off. I really cannot stand her. We get it. I mean,
wow.
You didn't have to add that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she hates, and we talked a little bit about her jealousy of Traci because Traci was the new girl and Ginger, she was already in her early 20s and had been around. And they had a little rivalry and maybe they don't get along and she did hate her. But yeah, she really hates Traci.
I mean, it's really hard to place blame on Traci when you remember she was a child.
Yeah, and I think I said that in a previous episode when I mentioned I was going to talk about other people and what they thought about her. The bottom line is she was a child. Even if everything these people are saying is true, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Because she was underage, and she is a victim, period. So, as they say, follow the money. That's what people were like, look, follow the money. The people are literally like, look, are you dumb? Obviously, she did it. Who has the most to benefit from with this coming out? She is the only one who has the rights to a legal porn starring her. Everyone is like, no shit. It's just so obvious to them. And they're kind of flabbergasted by her luck in general. They're like, her that Penthouse spread that she did, or her first Penthouse magazine, happened to be the one with Vanessa Williams that hit, and she became even more famous just by being connected to that. Which is like, how could she
How
plan
could she
that
have
though?
known that?
And then, some people are like, and then she got in on the last few good years of the golden age of porn right before the rails come off.
Yeah, when she was a child.
Yeah, like that's all their reasoning. But it's like, okay, so she is, if what you're saying is true, then she is a fucking genius. Like, if she did this, underage or not, Jesus Christ, like, she's one of the greatest to ever do it.
Like that she predicted all of these
yes,
things.
like, this is crazy. Like, so how could it be calculated? So they're like, is it just luck or did she plan this? It's like, that's crazy. So everyone else, in addition to the tax shit, they're also bogged down with legal fees because all of them now are possibly going to be, prosecuted or have to testify or being subpoenaed.
I mean, I get people's anger. I can understand why, like, people who weren't involved in any of this, like, but who are in the industry could be, like, upset by this. But at the end of the day, it's these crusaders who are so anti-porn who, like,
Right.
are using this.
But they are bogged down in legal fees. Everyone's rates are in the toilet at this point because the producers and distributors are out a ton of money. They're not paying as much anymore. So everyone has to work twice as hard to get the same amount of money they were getting 6 months ago. So that's obviously something that makes them mad as well, especially when the rumor starts going around that Traci has sold the rights to her one legal movie for $100,000.
Wow.
Which is a ton of money back then.
Well, that's just being a good businesswoman.
Yeah, but it lends credence to this theory that she did it to capitalize on this one legal movie.
Right.
She never says that this happened. As you know, in her book, she's broke. She has maybe $1,000 to her name.
So we don't even know if this really happened.
No, but the guy who bought it said it did happen.
Okay.
The guy who is rumored to have bought it did say it happened, but I just don't know. There's no like check or something. There's no smoking gun. Other people, including Ron Jeremy, once again, Ginger Lynn, Tom Byron, they're also going on record saying they never saw her use drugs and that she was always fully aware of her actions. They go one step further, saying she was not the victim, but she was actually the abuser.
What?
I know, this is crazy. They really hate her.
First of all, I don't want to hear Ron Jeremy's opinions.
Seriously?
Who is the abuser?
He needs to step off. Like, come on. They were even mad that she went mainstream. Like, when she started going into mainstream films, they felt like she was rejecting porn and like the whole, industry. And they were mad that she used her porn name because they're like, oh, but you want to use your name to get mileage from the industry that you're rejecting. And they were like, basically, like, you'd be nothing without us. Like, you wouldn't even be acting in mainstream films if you weren't with us at some point. Christy Canyon, she was a big actress in that time period, said that no one forced her to do it. None of us were forced to do anything. Going on to say, she liked it when I ate her damn pussy out. Now, I'll give her credit for coming up with an interesting defense.
Honestly, I love that.
And it's like no one's saying she wasn't agreeing to it, but you can't agree to it when you're underage. Like, that's the whole point.
Right.
I know that made me laugh. I was like, I gotta squeeze that one in here.
So good.
Another interesting theory is that Traci had no choice but to rat herself out after being busted for using the fake passport, or possibly while she was traveling, getting busted for having cocaine on her. So that she was being arrested and she kind of took a plea deal saying, well, I'll give you something better.
So this is a theory.
This is another theory, which I actually find kind of interesting.
That's interesting.
And some people are like, this happened months before. And so she did go back knowing that she would be performing illegally to get more evidence. This is, like I said, a theory. There's no proof of this. And Ginger Lynn actually said she thinks Traci was an FBI plant from day one. Now that's
Honestly,
crazy.
I mean, that is crazy, and I don't believe that at all. But it is, once again, really wild that the FBI had known about an underage performer for pretty much her entire career, and they didn't do anything about it.
And I don't put it past the FBI to do something like that. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think they give a shit about Traci Lords at
No,
all.
but it just also goes to show that, like, the real motivation isn't about helping an underage person get out of a situation or
Right.
protecting an underage person. It's about taking down the porn industry.
Yeah, that's their goal. And to be honest, both sides of this conflict, neither one of them give a shit about Traci Lords. Like, the industry doesn't care that none of them are like, damn, fuck, we fucked up. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Well, yeah, it seems like from what I'm hearing, the reaction isn't like, "Oh my god, that's horrible.
right.
That should have never happened." They're mad at her
Yeah.
instead.
For lying,
They
basically.
think that she did it on purpose.
Right. Or even if she just made a fake ID to get into the industry, they're mad about that too.
Right.
Anyway. So and there are a few people that are more sympathetic towards Traci, like they don't full on hate her, like someone like Ginger Lynn does, Tom Byron. He said that he did feel a little icky
Well,
when he found
I hope
out.
so.
Yeah. He was like, and he was pretty young too. Like, he might have only been 19. So it was like a closer age
Right.
difference. And he's the one who had sex with her, so he definitely is like, ugh. He's like, I didn't feel right finding out she was underage in an adult industry, obviously. And he said he felt shitty about everything that happened to her, and said he is still fond of her today and had been following her career and rooting for her. So he was sort of like, I no hard feelings, kind of. Porn actor Herschel Savage, he went as far to say he actually admires her if she did take the industry down.
Wow.
He's like, she exploited an exploitive industry, so good for her. Like, whatever. And I agree. If all of this is true and she is this Machiavellian evil genius, like, that's crazy at her
Yeah.
age. So the only really on the record people who kind of turned her in that we know about were two anonymous adults who said that they knew her. They said they saw her picture in the adult magazine Velvet in 1984 and telephoned the district attorney's office to inform authorities that she was underage, and that the investigator told them there isn't anything we can do about it.
Oh.
So there was an attempt by some two people to turn her in way back when she started, and nothing came of that. Now, perhaps that's where the FBI got involved and where they started monitoring her. I mean,
Right.
it could be. Regardless of how it all went down, Traci was officially out now and moving on to bigger and better things. She really begins to improve the quality of her life by starting to go to therapy. She eventually decides what she really wants for her life is to become a mainstream actress. And she signs up for acting classes and, like, literally is still being, like, hounded by paparazzi. She can be served at any time in her life with more subpoenas. Like, sometimes she's, like, literally on her way to class and gets served a subpoena as she's entering class. One person says to her, like, "Here you go, you brat."
Oh,
Just like, are
that's
servers allowed to say
unprofessional.
things like that? So she takes acting at the Strasberg Institute in LA. Her teacher, like day one, talks about the importance of drawing upon the well of your life. Traci is like, well, I got more than enough to draw on there,
Yeah.
for sure. And acting classes become another form of therapy for her. It grows her confidence, and she quickly becomes a standout in class. Like, she gives very moving performances, according to Traci in her memoir. Like, people even applaud after one. And it also helps her kind of deal with some of her, like, fucked up ideas on sexuality and just sex. Like, I think she does a monologue about sex, and it kind of starts giving her new perspectives because she's not had great experiences in her life. After her 3-month class ends, the teacher's like, the first step is get an agent. She places an ad in the Hollywood Reporter seeking representation. An agent from William Morris named Fred Westheimer is intrigued, and he calls her in for a meeting. The day after their meeting, Fred calls her and said his agency didn't want to represent her. He didn't say why, but she
She
knew what it
knew.
was. And this will be a recurring thing. Like, oftentimes people are like, no, or out of nowhere, but like, actually, no.
Right.
And it's like she kind of knows, even though no one says it. And her heart sinks immediately because she's kind of like realizing how difficult achieving her dream is going to be. But Fred actually says to her, look, I'll send you out on a few auditions sort of on the DL. And she initially, of course, is like, what's the catch? But he truly was just a nice guy who wanted to help her out. And he sends her in for an audition to get a guest spot on the TV show Wise Guy. Is playing a call girl. And she's like, I got this.
Mm.
She's like, and she does book the job. So she is being given a second chance, and she's off to Canada to film this episode of Wise Guy. She does a great job. She like nails this role, and she even captures the attention of the show's sexy star, Ken Wall, who invites her out to dinner after shooting reps. Now, she had never experienced a man like Ken. He's charming, he's kind, he's interested in hearing what she has to say. And she's like, I never wanted this night to end. She's like, I could get used to this life of being a legitimate actor and being respected. And Ken is the first man she has sex with post-porn. Now, although she knew Ken was just a one-night stand, it was so pleasant and enjoyable, it actually changes her ideas on what sex could be and makes her realize at the age of 19 that she really wants to be in a healthy, loving relationship. Unfortunately, back in LA, her loser boyfriend, Scott, is still hanging around, and he's acting jealous. Not so much because she fucked another guy, because I feel like they have a little bit of an open thing, but she realized with just one small part on TV, she was already more legitimate than her 36-year-old boyfriend slash business partner ever was.
Yeah. And she's getting some independence.
Yeah.
She has her own thing going.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, she's 19 and he's 36. Like,
yeah.
What a loser.
What are you doing?
So her next audition is at Roger Corman's office. So this is great. Roger Corman is a legendary, low-budget movie icon. And this is for a lead role in a low-budget movie called Not of This Earth. The role is one of a sarcastic, sexy nurse. Once again, Traci's like, I got this. This is kind of like a sci-fi-esque. I think there's aliens in it.
Yeah.
Not exactly sure what it's about. But at this point, she's still kind of like, okay, are these people wanting to meet me for legitimate reasons? Or is it like, let's just call Traci Lords in. I want to see her and meet her because of the scandal. And she said that this actually makes her prepare for these meetings and auditions even harder. And like she like comes in like surprisingly prepared, and I think she wants to kind of show them, and it pays off. The director Jim Wynorski loves her, and she does get cast in this role, although she is apprehensive about the role because there are 2 topless scenes, but she's now 2 for 2 in her auditions, even without official representation. So she's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
The harassment of the feds is still happening. She's also feeling the pressure of the scrutiny she's feeling, kind of knowing that people were likely rooting for her failure, like in the porn industry. And also knowing that seedy side of the porn industry was still pissed at her was scary. She often was like, is this the day they make good on their threats to hurt or kill me? Because she did face physical threats, so she feared for her safety as well. Filming the movie, she realized her method acting had no place in this campy film. And she's like, wow, I'm actually funny. Like, so she kind of found that she could be funny, and she does seem genuinely shocked by this revelation, but the proof was on the film. Just 4 months after finishing the movie, it's in theaters across the country.
Wow.
Roger Corman turns these flicks around really fast, and she gets pretty positive reviews for this kind of stinky movie. The
Yeah.
Hollywood Reporter states in their review, the answer is yes, she can act, which is pretty much as good as it gets.
Yeah.
She feels confident enough to do press, but unfortunately, she makes the mistake of going on tabloid programs like A Current Affair and Hard Copy.
Uh-oh.
We all remember those shows, don't we?
Yes.
I was a fan.
Look, we watched them.
She did go in knowing they wanted to talk about her life in porn, but she kind of thought it was going to be this respectful look at her struggles and then her triumph transitioning to mainstream films. Obviously, we know this is sensational, quote unquote, journalism that you would expect to find on A Current Affair or Hard Copy. They also interviewed people from the porn industry, and they were haters. So
Yeah.
many of them describe her as, like we mentioned, this child genius who deliberately plotted to destroy the industry, because that's the sensational story.
Right.
This devastates her. It nearly drives her back to drugs. She's back into a deep depression. Adding to the low point of this press run is the failure of the movie. It obviously is not a huge box office hit, but it does make a killing in video, and Corman offers her another part, but she's a little dejected because once again, it has 2 topless scenes in it, and that's just his type of movie,
Right.
for sure. And she decides she doesn't want to do nudity anymore, and she kind of makes a hard line and says, I'm declining this part. Her boyfriend is obviously a loser and not supportive. He tells her, everyone's seen your tits anyway, who cares?
What an idiot.
Yeah. So she stands her ground and just is like not going to do it. She also decides she wants to help other kids and begins working with Children of the Night, an organization that provides shelter for runaways and abused children. Now, when the auditions slow down, she decides to get back into modeling. And she signs with a modeling agency, basically to do like swimsuit, lingerie, fitness modeling, that kind of stuff. She begins working under the name Nora, which is her birth name. Yeah. Because she kind of wants to be anonymous almost, just working as an anonymous model. She eventually lands the cover of Muscle and Fitness magazine. And that ends up being a bad thing because it blows her cover. People are like, isn't that Traci Lords? The publisher of Muscle and Fitness actually puts out a statement saying he had no idea it was Traci Lords or knew anything about her past. But then he very quickly gives her a second cover because that cover obviously sold a ton. So she's still kind of like dealing with people who are one way publicly, but then want to use her to get more money. Unfortunately, more clients begin rejecting Nora because they say she's morally objectionable. So she starts losing more gigs. She decides to stop running from her name, and she stops using Nora professionally and legally changes her name to Traci Elizabeth Lords. Now she's owning it. In December of 1988, she finally gets an agent, and she continues getting auditions and even an offer to do an exercise tape for Jazzthetics.
Jazzthetics?
Yes.
What's that?
I have no idea.
It's like jazzercise.
They love throwing jazz in.
If it was
like
the 80s, if it was the 80s, you're getting it's getting jazzy in here.
Jazzthetics. She said no one seemed to care that she'd been to the gym 8 times in her life.
And she got the Muscle and Fitness.
I know.
cover.
She's just naturally ripped, I guess. Scott would direct, and Traci was mortified when she saw the final product. He was like, everything is completely vulgar framing of her exercises and looks very porny, especially when added with the cheesy 80s synth soundtrack.
Right.
So he's like, she's doing like fucking thrust.
And he's
like,
in.
He's like in her crotch. And everything, just every time she stretched, it was like the worst angle, she said.
Right.
I kind of want to see this. This sounds crazy.
Yeah, I want to see the video.
So she feels really betrayed by Scott, who was still her boyfriend at this time. And she immediately begins looking for an apartment. She's done with him, she says, or so she thinks. Obviously, it's not going to end.
Is she still in the South Bay? She's still in like Redondo?
No, they're in the Valley now, like
okay.
Woodland Hills or something. In the spring of 1989, Traci finally gets the chance she has been waiting for. Her agent calls her and said a director named John Waters was interested in having her audition for his his next movie, Cry Baby, an actual major studio Hollywood movie with a famous director. And we'll take a short break here and be back with more. So Tracy had never seen a John Waters movie, but was obviously elated that a famous movie director wanted to meet her. All she could remember about him was his skinny mustache that she had seen like in an interview one time. Scott just laughs when she tells him about this amazing opportunity. He tells her a story about how an actor in one of his movies had to eat dog shit for a role. And Tracy was like, whoa. He's kinkier than the Japanese that I had to work for at the kink farm. But Crybaby was turd-free, obviously. It is a PG comedy.
It's one of his more mainstream
for sure
films.
This is like post-Hairspray.
Yeah.
When he's going a little more mainstream, but it's got its moments. The role was Wanda Woodward. She wasn't really bad. Everyone just thought she was. It's that type of role. So, of course, she's worried again because this is a comedic role. But during her audition, she's very relieved when she says the line, "I wouldn't be caught dead in a full skirt," that John Waters laughs out loud.
She's so good in this movie.
Yeah, she's perfect. She's perfect for this role. She's kind of like a teenage bad girl.
And she looks so sickening.
My God. One of the most sickening film looks ever.
Ever.
Like, just
all
amazing.
Time.
So she's very nervous. She's desperate to land this part, as anyone would be. Who doesn't want to be in a John Waters movie, no matter what?
Yeah.
And she actually throws up before she goes in to tape this audition. Like, that's how sick she is about it. She should have thrown up in the audition, and she probably would have got it on the spot. So she's definitely on a little bit of an upswing. She got this audition. She's recently made a very memorable appearance on the MTV Music Awards, where she is called in to accept an award for Guns N' Roses because Axl, of course, refuses to participate in such a thing. And she actually goes on stage with Slash to accept the award. The pic of the two of them accepting the award goes whatever the old thing of viral is. It's like everywhere. It's in even like People magazine. And people are like, are they a couple? And Slash is like, why not? And asks her out. So she actually goes on a date with him. She shows up at his house on Sunset Strip. He has like some kind of apartment, I guess, above a bar. She's like, ugh, have they like made money yet? Like, what's going on? And as she's waiting for him to wrap up some work, she feels something sliver on her back, and it's his pet snake. But she hates snakes, and she like runs out of his apartment, and she's like, this will never work. We're better off as friends.
He's a snake. He's a snake.
He calls
guy.
and he's like, I'm sorry I left you waiting. He thinks she bailed because he was rude. And she's like, no, I can't. I cannot with a snake. But when she returns home after that bust of a date, she gets something even better than a night with Slash. She gets a phone call that she has landed the role in Crybaby, and she immediately bursts into tears. So a week later, she's in Baltimore being fitted for her costumes with costumer Van Smith, who tells her to get undressed, sees her look, and quickly adds, "Don't worry, honey, I like dick." And she's like immediately like, whew, like she's like, I'm going to feel great on this set. Like, this is going to be fun. It's going to be with people who are like me. So she's really excited. She sees Ricky Lake, who is also in the movie, when they're trying to decide what her hairstyle will be. Pin curls, the ugly pin curls that Ricky has, are offered to her. And she opts for John Waters' other choice, which he calls baby bangs. And Tracy is like shocked when she sees the baby bangs and hates it. But John is like, oh my God, yes. And the baby bangs are so hot.
They're
like,
so good.
No one has ever had better bangs. Like, these are killer. The look is amazing.
She looks head to toe perfect in this movie. Her hair is perfect.
It's the best she's ever looked. Like, she is gorgeous in this movie. So, she meets the rest of the cast. Obviously, she's very nervous, but everyone is very welcoming. No one is judgmental of her. And she describes Johnny Depp as being so cute it hurt to look at him. And they immediately began to learn choreography on the first day. Like, they're just jumping right into it. John shows up at the end of that first day, and he gives Tracy homework. He wants her to watch a lot of these campy exploitation movies from the 50s including Faster Pussycat Kill Kill, which is it's a great inspiration for her role because it's a bunch of
Yeah.
bad girls. And Tracy's like, well, I don't have a VCR in my room. And from across the room, Johnny's like, oh, you can use my room to watch it. And
Whoa.
Tracy is like, fuck, I can't go in his room. Like, what the hell? Um, she's like, in the book, she's like, I knew he had some girlfriend actress named Jennifer Grey, and I wondered if she was pretty. I looked that she didn't know who Jennifer Grey was.
Oh.
So she goes to Johnny's room. He like gives her a key. He's like, just come in and use it. I'm probably not going to even be there. And he isn't there. She goes to watch the movie. But just as the movie's about to end, he walks into his room. She's immediately butterflies, especially after Johnny says to her, I like your new bangs. They're so cute. And then he reaches down and she had put her hair in a ponytail because she thought it looked better with the bangs. And he takes it out saying he likes it better out of the ponytail. And she's like, he's so close to me. And she basically runs out of the room because she's like worried she's going to do something stupid. And I get it.
I mean, at that time, Johnny Depp was like very hot.
He's like the hottest. This is like his hottest. And then it's kind of starts slowly. It's like stays for a few years.
It stays throughout, I would say throughout the 90s. And then it's like this sharp decline.
But I think it stays throughout the 90s, but he's really in his teen idol phase right now.
Yeah.
And that definitely starts to end in the mid 90s.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a full-blown teen idol at this point.
Right, because he's on 21 Jump Street. He's done the Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Right.
And he's in this, and he's just like so cute.
He is not the Johnny Depp at this time that we know today.
No, she's worried about falling for Johnny Depp, but she never sees that she's going to actually fall for the film's prop master, Brooke Yeaton. So at some point, they just are hanging out and he like walks her back. They kiss and she's like madly in love from the first kiss. They try to keep it secret, but one day John Waters just says to them out of the blue, I approve.
Oh.
And then he says, but what will she think? And Tracy's like, no, don't tell me he's married. And John's like, no, I'm talking about his mother. And this is where she finds out his mother is Pat Moran, who is the person who cast Tracy in the movie. She's like John Waters' casting director. And she's like, oh my God, like the last thing I need to do is piss off the casting director when things go south with Brooke. Like, I don't need that pressure. But Brooke is like, it's fine. Like, she's cool, like, whatever. And the mom is the least of her worries because she's kind of bailed on Scott, who's still back home trying to get in touch with her. And he just shows up on set one day. And she's like completely like in this new world. Like she's on the movie set. She has this new love. And she's like, wasn't planning on dealing with this at this point. He's distraught when Tracy tells him about this new love and ends things officially. He responds by saying his divorce is finally final. And she's like, what? You were married? She didn't even know he had been married this whole time they were together.
Scott?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And then he shows her the ring because he had come to propose to Tracy on set, but that ship had sailed. She sends him packing back to LA. That wasn't the last time her fun crybaby set was jolted by an unexpected visitor. Turns out the FBI had been looking for her, and they show up on set with more subpoenas for her. Now, she's like humiliated that they come here in this professional setting, but the cast and crew quickly rally around her. And John Waters says she wasn't the only person on set who had trouble with the law, and side-eyes Patty Hearst when he's like, and look, if you're going to be on a movie set with legal issues, a John Waters movie is probably one where you want to be. Like, no one gives a shit on that set.
And look, he is like a really nice guy.
Also, he famously hires people who have been like rejected or had legal issues. Like, he gives them this second chance frequently.
Yeah.
And everyone from the original days were all like drug addicts and arrested probably. Like, there's so many who were like,
I mean, just anyone who was on the margins of society.
Absolutely. So she had nothing to be worried about, but she wasn't familiar, I don't think. So she didn't know. And this is his more mainstream period. So it probably was more scary. Anyways, the movie wraps. It's very sad. She wonders if she'll ever experience anything as good as this again. She heads back to LA to move out of her shared home with Scott and find a new place for her and Brooke to live. Now, Brooke hates LA when he gets there. This is a Baltimore guy. He doesn't like it, but he does start getting work. And Traci gets another gig. She gets a little guest spot on Married with Children, and she becomes very close friends with Christina Applegate. And that's a friendship that stays. Like,
Are they still friends?
I think so, but I don't know. But they are, like, as when this book comes out in the early 2000s, they are still friends.
Right.
After a whirlwind of premieres and press for Crybaby, Traci arrives home one day to find her house vibrating from the guitar playing of their neighbor, Poison's Ricky Rocket, who was rehearsing Unskinny Bop. And it's under these circumstances that Brooke proposes to her.
Oh my
She
God.
says yes, then immediately throws up. Imagine Unskinny Bop playing. Like,
Stop it.
Awful. So they get married John Waters marries them in the fall of 91, and she's only 23 years old at this point.
God,
it's just like
she's
so
been through
much.
so much.
I know, when I saw that, I was like, 23? Like, this is
Yeah.
crazy. So they get a home together in North Hollywood where they live with their Persian cat, Mr. Steve, who I will post a photo of. He's very cute. She actually gets him when she goes to move out of her house with Scott. He kicks this little kitten to her and he's like, "Happy birthday."
What?
And it's like this little Persian cat.
So
he had gotten it for her.
I'm glad she got the cat.
I know. I was like very stressed. And I was like, I can't tell this story until I saw that it was a good ending. So she continues to land mainstream acting work. Her next big part is in the TV miniseries The Tommyknockers.
Oh, yeah.
This is filmed in New Zealand. So she's off away from her husband because he's working as well. And she starts landing a lot of parts where she's away. Then this traveling puts a strain on her marriage to Brooke. As I mentioned, he's also working. And there's even a rumor of him getting a little too cozy with an actress on the set of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie. But Traci is kind of like, no, I trust him. And she brushes her worries aside. When Brooke lands the job of prop master on Homicide: Life on the Street, he excitedly tells Traci they were moving back to Baltimore so she could quit her little hobby and he could take care of her now.
Hobby?
Now, she starts crying angry tears and eventually realizes she also wants a career more than her marriage, and she files for divorce shortly after. Traci's hobby continues to go well, and she lands an incredible guest spot on Melrose Place.
Yes.
She plays cult member Ricky Abbott, and she was a huge fan of the show, thrilled to work with Laura Leighton, who played her favorite character, Sydney.
I mean, this career already, being in a John Waters film and then having an arc on Melrose Place during Melrose Place's golden age is incredible.
Yes. She also got a little recurring role on Roseanne. I forgot about that. I think she's with Sandra Bernhard and Roseanne in her scenes. And my mind was blown by this piece of information, Rachel.
What?
She begins a 2-year relationship with Madonna ex Bobby Parisi himself, John Enos.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're together for 2 years.
Oh, what was it while he was on Melrose?
He must have been.
He must have been.
Because this is shortly after. They're together 2 years.
Because he was on Melrose Place from like 95 and 96.
Yeah, so I think he must have been. It must have. And they like spent a lot of time in Miami. I was like, is he like, I was like, what the hell with the Parisis?
Dude.
So they break up, obviously. She also gets back into one of her first passions, music. She records several albums throughout the 90s and 2000s. She gets married and divorced again in the 90s to a guy named Ryan. We don't hear much about him. She does marry again in 2002 to a man named Jeff. Her memoir drops in 2003. And then she shocks the world when, at the age of 39 in 2007, she says she's pregnant with her first baby, and she has a son with her husband, Jeff. In January of 2008, she announces that she has been cast in Kevin Smith's comedy, Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
Great movie.
She said at first she wanted to refuse, but she changed her mind after reading the script, saying, "It was really great that in taking that and taking the movie because I didn't plan on going back to work right away after her baby was born, but I was dying to work with Kevin. I never thought it would be on something called Zach and Miri Make a Porno. So I went in and read the script at his house, and I was prepared to say no. I thought, I have this perfect out. I just had a kid. No one's going to blame me if I say I just can't do it right now. But it was so laugh out loud funny, and it just made me literally cry. It was so funny. Initially, the character had a topless scene, but she refused to do that. She's like, I'm done with that. And they cut it for her. So, yeah, she was kind of scared, but then the movie is obviously not a porn.
She she is so funny in that movie.
Yeah, she's really funny. Like, she has a great sense of humor about herself, I think. And she's kind of like one of my favorite type of people who can laugh at themselves.
Yeah,
Um,
she's really fun to watch. She's very honest.
I think she's really honest, and I think she's just game for anything as long as
Yeah.
it's like a respectful environment, which obviously this was. Like, I think she'll poke fun at herself when she feels safe.
Yeah.
So despite her, I think, pretty successful transition into mainstream film acting, it does still illustrate the difficulty of moving over. As Christy Canyon states in this Town and Country article I mentioned up top, once you've done adult, and this is my opinion, I'd love for someone to prove me differently, you've got a black mark over your name. There's a slur against you. You were the girl that got naked and had sex on film. Is there anything wrong with it? No. Will mainstream think that there is? Most likely, because no one's ever really broken through huge. A few have tried: Traci, Ginger, Jenna Jameson, Sasha Grey, and they did a few little meaty roles. I'll give them that, but they were never really accepted. It's always like, oh, and it's starring that porn star.
Right.
Now, she probably is the most successful to do it, in my opinion, but I think the stigma they face is quite different than what we see in the early 2000s with famous leaked porn tapes. Those end up being very lucrative for the celebrities that are in them, like Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian, in a way it never is for longtime actresses in the official
Right.
industry.
Right.
And that is very interesting to me, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's pretty much been working consistently since she left the porn industry. She's acting, she's directing, she's obviously producing music. She started a fashion line. I mean, I would say it's a success. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, she's not Julia Roberts, but she never was going to be. And she's worked so much. Like, I mean,
She's also an icon.
absolutely. Definitely. Like, she changed history in many ways. Like, she was like a point in pop culture where things like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it was definitely, and she did break a lot of ground, I think, hopefully for girls who want to make that same transition.
I agree.
So I'll just end with what she says at the end of her book. The hardest person for me to forgive has been me. I thought for such a long time that I was just a bad girl, and what happened to me was simply all my fault. Working those issues out in front of the camera, first in porn, then later in mainstream Hollywood, was hell. They say if something doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, and in my case, it's true. I think about how close I came to becoming another statistic, and it chills me. I was another runaway, another molested child, another victim of sexual predators, but underneath it all, I was a survivor.
Oh,
So
I love that.
yeah.
And I love Traci. What a great series. I'm excited to see a picture of her cat, Mr. Steve.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get Kat. I have some amazing set photos from Crybaby, and we'll definitely post a great Crybaby look for sure.
Yeah.
And then just some other pics. So she's got a lot of
Cool.
good pics. But yeah.
All right, we'll see you very shortly for the mini episode. And I just wanted to plug our Patreon really fast. We have just posted some great new things on our Patreon.
Yeah.
If you
Go check it
want to
out.
have some laughs.
If you've been gone for a while, come back. There's so much new stuff that you can listen to right away.
Patreon.com/Hollywood Crime Scene. I'll have a link in the show notes. Bye.
Bye.